What if the man trusted to defend a nation's secrets was secretly feeding them to its greatest enemy? Imagine an insider, respected and admired, quietly dismantling entire intelligence networks while smiling across the table at colleagues. What if betrayal didn't come from the shadows, but from the very heart of Britain's intelligence service itself? Stay with us, because this story of deception, loyalty, and betrayal is more shocking than any spy novel. Let's dive in. Our story begins with Harold Adrian Russell Philby, better known simply as Kim, born in 1912. Kim grew up privileged, son of an adventurous father, educated in elite schools, and destined for a life of influence. At Cambridge University, he mingled with brilliant young minds, many of whom flirted with socialism and radical leftist ideals. It was here, amid debates and friendships, that Philby quietly embraced communism and eventually became a Soviet recruit. To friends, he appeared charming, witty, and loyal. But beneath the surface, he cultivated a dangerous double life. His early life laid the foundation for a career where charm masked betrayal and loyalty was pledged to Moscow. In the 1930s, Philby traveled across Europe, witnessing authoritarian rise and appearing as a committed anti-authoritarian journalist. This public stance helped camouflage his deeper allegiance, loyalty to the Soviet Union's cause of global communism. When World War II erupted, Philby's path led him into Britain's intelligence service, where his career flourished rapidly. He joined MI6, rising quickly, admired for sharp intellect, calm demeanor, and an uncanny ability to gain trust. Behind closed doors, Philby provided Moscow with invaluable information on Allied strategies, networks, and secret operations. The Soviets had a gold mine, a man in the highest ranks of Britain's intelligence, feeding secrets without hesitation. He wasn't working alone. Philby was part of the infamous Cambridge 5 spy ring, all recruited during university years. Alongside Burgess, Maclean, Blunt, and Cairncross, Philby formed a network that crippled Western intelligence efforts for decades. Philby's betrayal was subtle. He often acted as gatekeeper, quietly redirecting operations that endangered Soviet agents abroad. His information leaks led directly to compromised missions, dismantled spy networks, and the deaths of countless agents worldwide. Colleagues praised him for professionalism, unaware that his failures were deliberate sabotage protecting Soviet interests. During the Cold War, information meant power, and Philby gave the Soviet Union a massive strategic advantage. He leaked details of Allied espionage in Eastern Europe, crippling Britain's ability to gather reliable intelligence behind the Iron Curtain. He also informed Moscow about covert U.S. plans, poisoning the trust between Britain and its American allies. Even as suspicions grew, Philby skillfully deflected. Using humor, charm, and his high-ranking connections to protect himself, his career reached astonishing heights. By the 1950s, Philby was positioned as liaison between MI6 and the CIA. This role gave him access to both British and American intelligence operations, doubling the damage he could inflict. Imagine the CIA's shock years later, realizing the man they shared everything with had betrayed them for decades. Throughout this time, Philby maintained a personal life that mirrored his secret world, complex, fractured, and shadowed. He married multiple times, his wives often left puzzled by his absences, secrecy, and emotional distance. His double life strained every relationship, yet his public persona of sophistication and wit kept suspicions low. Philby lived in constant tension, juggling his duties as loyal MI6 officer and covert Soviet agent. One misstep could expose him, but he thrived under pressure, outmaneuvering interrogations and investigations again and again. When colleagues Burgess and McLean defected to Moscow in 1951, suspicion fell heavily on Philby. Yet somehow, he escaped charges, protected by influential allies who couldn't believe their trusted colleague was a traitor. For years, he maintained this precarious balance, even after losing his official MI6 post under political pressure. Publicly, he was cleared of accusations, though whispers of betrayal never fully faded within intelligence circles. In 1963, the truth finally emerged. Evidence mounted, and Philby's carefully constructed double life collapsed. Facing inevitable exposure, he chose escape. In January 1963, Philby defected to Moscow, abandoning Britain forever. The British public was stunned, their trusted intelligence hero revealed as a Soviet double agent for decades. In Moscow, he was received as a hero of the Soviet Union, praised for unwavering loyalty to communism. Yet life in exile proved complicated. Though honored, Philby also lived with regret, isolation, and shattered personal ties. His wives and children were left behind, victims of his devotion to ideology and betrayal of homeland. Despite accolades, Moscow never fully trusted Western defectors, keeping Philby under watch even in supposed retirement. He spent his later years in relative obscurity, drinking heavily, haunted by his decisions and their consequences. Philby died in Moscow in 1988, buried far from the country he once swore to protect. The damage caused by Philby was staggering. Entire Allied networks in Eastern Europe were dismantled because of his leaks. Countless brave men and women paid with their lives because their identities were betrayed by Philby's reports. His actions poisoned trust between Britain and America, damaging the very heart of Western intelligence cooperation. MI6 was humiliated, forced to admit one of its most trusted officers was Moscow's greatest asset. The CIA, too, was shaken, realizing the Soviet Union had been reading their playbook for years. For ordinary citizens, the betrayal was chilling, proving even the most trusted insiders could secretly serve enemies. Philby's story became a symbol of the Cold War's paranoia, deception, and the devastating price of misplaced trust. What lessons can we draw from Kim Philby's betrayal? First, trust without scrutiny can be a fatal weakness. Philby thrived because his colleagues believed in class privilege, social ties, and appearances instead of evidence. His story shows how ideology can consume loyalty to family, country, and friends, driving betrayal beyond personal gain. It also reveals the danger of underestimating adversaries. Moscow placed agents where London least expected. Intelligence failures are rarely about gadgets or codes, but about misplaced faith in human beings. Philby proved that sometimes the greatest weapon in espionage isn't technology, but trust itself. His betrayal reminds us that intelligence work is as much about psychology as it is about strategy. To this day, Philby's name remains synonymous with treachery, deception, and the dangers of blind trust. Historians continue to debate his motives. Was he an ideologue, opportunist, or simply addicted to deception? Whatever the answer, his actions changed the course of Cold War espionage forever. Philby forced Western intelligence agencies to rethink security, vetting, and their vulnerability to insider threats. His story endures not only as history, but as a timeless warning about loyalty and betrayal. So, what do we learn from Kim Philby, the man who fooled MI6 and betrayed nations? That betrayal, often hides in plain sight, disguised behind smiles, friendships, and trust. That ideology can be stronger than family, career, or loyalty to one's homeland. And that intelligence services must forever remain vigilant, because even one traitor can cause catastrophic damage. Philby's story is not just about espionage, but about the fragility of human trust in the face of deception. As we reflect, we must ask how many secrets today still lie in the hands of hidden betrayers. The Cold War may be over, but espionage remains alive, shadows moving silently beneath the surface of diplomacy. Kim Philby's Betrayal reminds us the most dangerous enemies are not across borders, but seated beside us in trust. His life was both a triumph for Moscow and a tragedy for the West. His defection sealed his name in history, not as a patriot, but as one of the greatest traitors. And though he died in Moscow, his ghost continues to haunt the corridors of Western intelligence. Betrayal is timeless, and Philby's story proves history often hides secrets far stranger than fiction. What if the next Philby is already among us, trusted, respected, and smiling across the table? Stay curious, stay vigilant, and never underestimate the power of loyalty or the devastation of betrayal. If you enjoyed this deep dive into espionage history, subscribe and join us as we uncover more hidden betrayals.